Hello and welcome FOF. We are back for the last game of the night. We have oh my god, Universal Basic Income. Interesting pun on that one.
Oh
And
boy.
Team Sword going up against it. Universal has been undefeated so far. So just to quickly run through the rosters that we have here today, we have Freelancer 16 in the top lane, Utility Monster in the jungle, Divalok in the mid, Jeff God Gamer in the AD carry spot, and Brian Sang coming from the support lane for Universal. For Team Sword, we have SWO King GAR. Okay,
Oh, everyone's
GHR.
Gator.
Oh,
King
everyone.
Gator.
Team Gator? Oh, really? Okay. Oh, well, anyway. SWO Cam, Jivichu, Fix Your Fart in the AD carry, and SWO, it will just be SWO in the support.
Oh boy. So we're seeing the Nocturne and the Morgana being taken away from Utility Monster here. And a Hecarim! Oh my god!
Yep, for the 18th billion season in a row, we will now see Hecarim versus Udyr. Who's ready? Now, YUBI wants the Hecarim, so the other team is going to want the Udyr.
Yeah, one of the interesting things here is that Utility Monster has been playing a bunch of Morgana jungle and played almost only Morgana jungle for the past few games. And the times that they haven't gone Morgana jungle, they fall back on things like Nocturne. So the fact that Utility Monster's like, hey, if you're just going to take my comfort picks, I'm just going to pick meta, is really, really cool to me. And I just found it pretty funny that people were like, hey, Utility Monster, you can't play meta picks. And they're just like, yeah, you're wrong.
Yeah, they are now back, and they have the Volibear being taken, and the Volibear Lulu. So Team Sword, I just want to quickly go into them. They have been showing massive improvement. They were probably the most impressive team of last week, and I'm really happy to see them back. And these are both two teams that have coaching staffs. So that could be why we're seeing this constant improvement from these ones.
Yeah, and one of the big things here, right, is that both the Volibear and the Lulu are flex picks. Now, Lulu could go top lane, Volibear could go top lane. We're most likely seeing the Lulu in support. But Volibear could absolutely flex to either jungle or top. So it's still keeping this team comp relatively unseen. We're seeing the Kai'Sa pick and the Senna pick early on. That set's absolutely going to Freelancer. Like, there's no way we're seeing Hecarim top in this game.
Yeah, there's no way. It did used to be played. It was a counter pick into Aatrox mainly, but now that we've seen Riot decide to kill Aatrox at the knees for a while, he probably won't be appearing, and that is just going to be the Hecarim into the jungle. Set's been locked in, so this is still a counter pick. A flex pick, as Set can be taken into the support role. And I like what YUBI has chosen to go here, as they've picked multiple lanes that can be flexed theoretically, and a really, really strong bot laner to give them that solid damage and healing.
Now, one of the interesting things here is that every single one of Sword's picks, Sword's bans, has been, with the exception of Tristana, has just been something that YUBI has picked before. Like, they're just taking away things that YUBI likes to play, and they're just taking away comfort picks. And YUBI is responding by just straight up picking meta champions at times. And it's interesting to see how this draft will come up. So now we see the Victor. We know the Lulu's not going to go mid. We know she's probably not going to go top. The Volibear's probably going to be jungle. But that's still to be seen.
Yeah, an interesting choice on the side of the Team Sword. For they chose to give their counter pick to the top side. They're gonna have a Victor be placed in the position where he can now be counterpicked. If this is just a quirky lock-in, then Victor is pretty happy, as he's not gonna be super punished in that particular matchup. And this is gonna be a really, really big point to see if this Volibear is gonna be going jungle or top, and if this last pick gives Team Sword some type of advantage.
Is that Senna set bot lane?
Yes, that is.
Oh my god. All right, so this could be really interesting because there's two types of set that are played regularly right now. Now, there's the Omnistone set and the Phase Rush Hex Flash set. Now, Omnistone set it's funny. I don't really know what from a competitive perspective. It's a fun one, but instead we're going to be seeing. I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing the Phase Rush set, which has quite a decent bit of engage, and we're seeing YUBI not opt to just put Jeff God Gamer on the main damage carry role this time, because we usually see him on Vayne and pumping out damage, but this time we're seeing him on the Senna, more supportive role, and we'll see if Civlock can really bring out the damage with Corki here.
Yeah, and already I see some minor issues in basically the draft theory for the side of Team SWO. So they chose to lock in Mordekaiser. This basically makes them quadruple 80 AP, with with Kai'Sa even doing a heavy portion of her percent health damage in magic damage. So basically now Hecarim set Shen can just stack magic resist and gets just exponential value out of this. And there's not really going to be any shred coming through with Kai'Sa being your only damage. If you're going to go for Lulu, going for something that has a little bit of longer range can be useful, as Kai'Sa often ults out of the range of the Lulu R. So I'm going to have to give my pre-game position to Universal Basic Income. I think they've drafted a more all-around composition and have a much easier to execute win condition with the Shen going in on with this Hecarim and the set being able to follow her with the Showstopper. What do you think?
Yeah, I generally agree. I do think one of the big things is that Yumi's win condition over the past few games has generally gone to just pick Vayne, let Jeff God Gamer farm up, and pump out tons of damage. Now, the question is, because we've usually seen Civlock on Galio, on, I believe that we saw Civlock on the Malphite mid at one point. Just champions that are designed to let their carries do the damage and not carry themselves. We're going to see whether or not Civlock is up to the job of being the main carry and has the same kind of positioning that we're going to need from this.
Yeah, he is going to have to dish out a lot of damage, and hopefully we are going to be getting into the match soon. And here is the match coming off. You have both teams exiting their base, ready to fight, and look at that synergy.
Conqueror set, Ignite Shen.
Everywhere. Oh my god, this is going to be spicy. We have the extra stuff coming out.
Okay, so Conqueror set. Now, Phase Rush set, really, really good and from the support position, because, you got a lot of... we got a flying Volibear over here. Because you get a lot of engage, and it's really easy to just, hit E, 1-2 on the Q, run behind them and ult them into their team. But now that we have Conqueror set, I'm fairly certain we're getting starting Senna and farming set. And farming set does a hell of a lot of damage, and this is going to be a really, really scary set.
Yeah, Riot has been consistently buffing Set's AD and AD ratios to make him more of a damage carry and not focus so much on his survivability, since he really needs to rely on that W to be most of it. And I like this adaptation. It's interesting to see them go for this new, more unique bot lane, and Set being the carry is going to be very interesting to see how this is going to scale up and give us that damage that Set can provide with massive showstoppers. Him ulting in the Mordekaiser or the Volibear would get extreme value. So I really like what they've chosen to go for, and very interesting choice even in the rune pages.
And one of the big things here, right? This is Ignite Shen in top lane. Now, the fact that it's Ignite Shen means that he's not going to be able to really match teleport, so pre-6, Sword have a bigger window to do something, because, Shen's not going to be able to follow. But post-6, Shen has Ignite, he has the kill pressure, and he's still going to be able to join his team with the ulti.
Yeah, and it looks like these lanes are going to be relatively standardized, at least in the early game. Now, it's because the Shen has chosen to take this Ignite, he's probably going to be looking to fight heavily onto his Mordekaiser, maybe even look for a solo kill at level 2. But Mordekaiser typically is pretty strong into Shen, as he doesn't have his magic resist is not as good as his armor, plus his W is virtually useless into the Mordekaiser early. So, interesting that he would go with such an aggressive summoner spell, knowing that's how the matchup is typically played.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how things develop in top lane, but right now, Civlock getting the farm that they need. It's an electrocute Corki, so going to be quite a bit of burst damage in the later game. And with the cold start, we know that Civlock just wants to keep firing up, and they're getting that consistent amount of gold.
Oh, and that's just going to be the Kai'Sa taking a lot of damage. She's going to go down to the Ignite. Oh, she's going to live with a smidge of HP. Very well played on the set. He managed to get the stun down. The Ignite landed, and then a Q auto for the follow-up. That is the Kai'Sa barely making it out of his life. And this is a really, really awful timing to be in this situation is now look at this wave. This whole wave is about to die to the tower, and it's going to be pushing back out when the Kaisa arrives back. They are really going to be struggling in these next couple minutes to avoid getting ganked.
Yeah, and one of the big things here is that they've taken Volibear, an early ganking jungler, and they've gotten the early scuttle trap. But Utility Monsters is going to trade it back. They're just going to take the bot one because they have the bot cryo, and there's no double scuttle to be had. And Freelancer is more than happy to just sit under a tower and farm bot.
Yeah, and it looks like there was a minor error in wave management on the side of YUBI as they've opted to go continue the push instead of forcing a freeze situation where they basically can never allow the Kaisa to farm.
Oh, we're
But
getting an all-in in top lane.
Oh, there's all in the top
Ignite
side that
down?
we cannot see, and that is going to be the Mordekaiser getting the solo kill even through the Ignite. Now let's break down quickly to see what happened. This is going to be the taunt landing. That's going to get the extra passive damage from the Shen, but the passive from Mordekaiser is just melting through the Shen. He has no more damage. The shield is going to come through, and that is a huge shield. The flash away did not come through, and that's just Mordekaiser melting through the Shen. This is massive. If he can get this push into the wave, Shen is going to be extremely behind.
Yeah, if you're going to go for this, you absolutely cannot get hit by the Mordekaiser Q there, because that Q does just so much damage that even with the Ignite, he's going to have the shield up, so the healing alone isn't really the problem, and that's going to hurt. That's really going to hurt without the teleport.
Yeah, Xpetu would not be happy about that one. For anyone who doesn't know who it is, he is a European Shen Grandmaster one-trick. This man knows everything there is about Shen, and dodging those first couple Qs is something he always harps on in this Mordekaiser matchup if you want to win, because of just the shred that comes through when the Mordekaiser passive is stacked at the very end. Oh, that's going to be the E from the set missing. The W is also going to go wide. He's not going to get the bonus true damage. And this is going to be an invade. Volibear does have a stun, and Kaisa and Lulu are going to be here first. Hecarim's going to have to run. The E is used. That's going to be a lot of damage. He has nothing else. He should be going down in this moment. As actually, that's going to be the trade kill. Mordekaiser's here, though. That's going to be another kill coming through. That's going to give that kill over to the Kaisa as Hecarim and the Senna has dropped, and that is just going to be a trade for the Volibear. Pretty solid on the side of Team Sword getting that win out.
Yeah, and that's another case where, Shen doesn't have TP, so because he's not 6 yet, Team Sword are free to play around that.
Yeah, and this invade is just completely over-aggressive and unnecessary. As Team Sword had a ward available, you should be aware that there is generally a ward placed in that jungle when there is an invade that's going to be expected. And Volibear getting the smite, landing level 5, just made him way stronger in the fight, and he got so much damage out on this Hecarim that there was really nothing else to be provided. If the Volibear had flashed away, it probably even wouldn't have been a trade kill. And Team Sword is going to pick up a really over Inferno Dragon in a matchup where they have no business ever getting this.
Yeah, Gator going to lose quite a few minions on her tower for it, but he is very happy to give those up for a kill and for an assist in the dragon here. And Cam's just going to pick that right up. Not that big of a deal for them. And yeah, Team Sword is not in a bad position at all right now.
Yeah, this is quite punishing for the side of the Mordekaiser. He TP'd away, Shen picked up a plate. So when it comes to the gold head-to-head, they're probably significantly closer than they were before. The kill from earlier and the assist is going to help balance that out. But Shen did manage to get a small punish on the behalf of the Mordekaiser. This wave is going to be pushing into the Shen now, so he is going to be in a happy spot. But this bot lane is going to be in a more disadvantageous position than they were before, even with this freeze being set up and this base coming through. Now they're going to have to look to punish with this, not with the Kaisa and the Lulu having no summoner spells, and they have to push up for this next wave as this gank is going to come through, but the flash away is just going to make it amount to pretty much nothing.
And one of the big things here, right, is that yes, you got the Victor flash, but Hecarim burned Ghost for it, and Ghost is definitely going to be coming up before the flash, so it's a question as to whether or not Volibear is going to be able to path to counter.
The bot lane is in a really, really disadvantageous spot. Hecarim is going to hit 6. He actually already has it. The red buff is going to come down. And this wave is permafrozen. If they cannot break this, they are going to be forced to really shove themselves into a really bad spot with no flashes up to even attempt to have a counter gauge. They're going to need to call this Volibear over and help them break this freeze. Look at how many minions Kaisa is losing and how well YUBI is executing this freeze setup.
Mm-hmm. All right, there's the Sheen. You know, Freelancers keeps on wanting to fight. The itemizing into the Sunder here.
And look, the Volibear has opted to go for this mid lane gank onto the Corki with the Valkyrie available. This is really, really unfortunate. The bot lane needs to be communicating that they're in a really, really disadvantageous spot. They can't do anything. This wave, if executed properly, will just stay underneath this tower, and Kai'Sa's going to fall even further and further behind. She's already 30 CS down. This could just get even worse if this problem is not fixed by the jungler or the mid laner coming down to help.
Mm-hmm. And even though this is interesting, so even though this is a Glacial Augment Senna, we had the Phage picked up early by Senna, so I'm kind of interested to see what we're going to see
and
here.
The Volibear is now here. That is going to be the double stun landing. The flash Q is going to go onto the Senna, but there isn't going to be any real damage following up. Volibear is going to turn off the tower, but that's a lot of damage that he's taking. Senna is getting those autos down. The Guardian is going to save him from the Lulu, and now Victor's here. Look at the damage that's coming out from the Chaos Laser. Is any more follow-up going to be provided? That laser is going to go away, and that's going to be Senna walking away with very, very little HP. But that is going to be a good sense of reprieve that this bot lane has gotten, and they're finally going to be able to pick up some gold after so long of being starved out.
Corki's coming in with package, perhaps? Yeah, it's a good question as to it's a good amount of pushback that Team Store are doing here. It's a question as to whether or not YUBI are going to get something back in return, though.
Yeah, YUBI has managed to play these lanes out so well that even with the deficit that happened from the early fights, they still have an 800 to 900 gold lead. That's purely from just laning better. And this is something that YUBI has done very effectively throughout the league. They've been the best laning team that we have seen, even outclassing teams like Intrees and BBZ with how effective that these players managed to accrue these advantages. And this is kind of their special. Teams need to figure out how to punish these guys and not fall so far behind in the early game where they can still manage to have an impact later on.
Yeah, like even in the jungle, Hecarim's been able to pick up quite a bit more than the Volibear at this point. But we see Freelancer getting engaged on here.
That really minor damage at this point. When the taunt goes out, there's not going to be much. But here comes a dive. The Channel is going to come through. That's going to be the Lulu. She has nothing else to do besides die. Now the Kaisa is going to go. She's trying to run under the tower. She's going to fall. Volibear is going to go. He's going into your death, man. He's going to get a trade kill, but he is going to go down too. Now Victor's walking up. What are you doing, man? That is a red buff Corki. You have no flash. Now you are going to go down and feed a triple kill to YUBI, and just like that, the game is turned around, and YUBI is 2,000 gold up.
Yeah, and one of the huge things here, right, is that this is a team composition that's based around Civillock doing damage. And all of those kills went over to the Corki, who's also 3 CS away from popping a Cole. This Corki's just going to be doing so much damage. And I'm not sure if Sorter necessarily going to be well-equipped to bring it back.
Yeah, this is something that Civillock has done consistently. When he picks up this Corki, he's 10 CS per minute. He keeps his gold volume extremely high. He very rarely messes up that aspect of the game. And to feed him so many kills, especially when you know that Shen R is available and going to come down onto this bot side, you're basically putting one of their best players in the opportunity to carry. And now he has such an early Manamune. This is going to be like a 15 to 16 minute Manamune transform, and that is disastrous for the side of Team Sword.
All right, I'm still trying to figure out what it is that Senna's building here.
Looks like it's going to be a Black Cleaver. So it looks like she's going the Black Cleaver first item. But in this composition, it probably gets as little value as you would expect. Shen does mostly magic damage with his Q. Hecarim is, when he builds full tank, he does a significant amount of damage that is not going to be very well amplified by the shred of the armor. Corki obviously does 80% magic damage, so he doesn't need the armor shred either. So I guess you're doing it for the set, but like
I don't know, because like Phage doesn't build into the cleaver anymore.
oh, then I have no idea what
Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, so we got the ult from King Gator up here. I don't know if
this is
going to
going to
out
be
here.
a dead Shen. He does not have any reprieve. That's going to be a late flash. The passive is just going to pick up this Shen.
Oh
the
my
taunt's going to
God.
come up, and the shield's going to come through. Hecarim is going to get the E. He has Ghost of it not available, so he is going to be running. That is multiple Qs landed, and that's going to be the Shen and the Hecarim barely making it out off the skin of his teeth. This Mordekaiser is so strong.
And Shen has tier 2 boots completed here, and that's the big thing, right? So he has cooldown boots, which might not necessarily be ideal here, but because of that, the taunt comes up just barely in time. The flash wasn't quite on point, but the taunt comes up in time. He's out. Utility monsters in the perfect spot to make sure that Gator can't follow.
Yeah, and that is a Rift Herald on the Volibear, so most likely when we return back to live, the game will have had the top side broken up. This Mordekaiser is going to have to do a lot of the heavy lifting, with his bot and mid and jungle being significantly far behind. Now let's see if they even opt to use this. Now this is an interesting decision. I don't think they needed to go for the Rift Herald here. They probably could have saved it for the mid, as this tower is pretty much already dead, and you know that Shen and Hecarim are going to be back to base. Here comes the flash. The stun on the Lulu is going to come through. She's going to get Ardent. She's going to have to flash out. She's running away from the set. The set doesn't have any more catch-up or utility to come through. The W is going to land. But look at this. That is just so much damage coming out from the side of the Senna. And even with all that available, that's going to be the Senna getting that damage and forcing the bot lane to back. Here comes the Hecarim. That's going to be the fear landing on the Volibear. He's not going to make it. Volibear is going to be dead. Here comes Victor. He's walking up again. He doesn't have any team's utility. He's going to be running out with this phase rub. Let's see if Hecarim's going to be able to catch him. This chase is still going. It looks like they're going long. Corki is around the side, and that's going to be the laser group that's going to force the Corki off. And Mordekaiser is also going to make it out, running right through that backside.
Hey, they took the Morgana. They took the Nocturne. And Utility Monster says, okay, you take my comfort, I'll just play Pony.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it should be expected that every jungler worth his salt can play this champion. He also is probably the biggest no-hands champion in the game. His R taking the most skill of the entire kit, which at that point, you're kind of stunned that this ride has still allowed this to even be a thing. He is receiving some nerfs next patch, but good lord, no one wants to see this champion anymore. And Utility Monster has shown a very varied and a very meta-oriented champion pool. So I'm really happy to see him pick that, and that's going to be Victor flashing away. And he's gonna get W back in. That's gonna be a lot of damage. He's gonna be taking a lot. The True Grit W is just gonna execute him as Victor's gonna drop.
Really, really well played. And you know, Jeff God Gamer gonna flash the mastery right there. But yeah, this set there's the Stridebreaker. I was about to say almost up to the Stridebreaker. Still not too sure what Senna's building here. Divine Sunderer Senna. Well, that's new.
I mean, okay, so the Divine Sunderer passive is still going to be procced by the Senna Q. So it does proc on hit effects, and it does help with tank shredding. I feel like if you wanted to tank shred, you probably should have just went Kraken Slayer, as you'll get more value and you get less wasted stats. But, I mean, they're so far ahead at this point, whatever she built, it probably doesn't even matter.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's... I don't see it as like, oh, this is like an affront to humanity or anything like that. It's just relatively rare that I see something...
it's not an affront to humanity.
It's relatively rare that I see something that I actually have not seen before in these games. Because, like, you know, they'll play... Like, I love YUBI for some of their not necessarily so meta picks, but, like, strange but still work picks.
Oh, here we go. That's going to be Kai'Sa caught out. She's going to get the R onto the other side, but that's a lot of damage. She's going to dodge the center R, but that is going to be Kai'Sa dropping as the long-range damage is going to come through. Volibear is going to fail his R over the wall. He's going to have to flash away, and the Wild Growth is going to come out, so that's a lot of resources that are just going to be down before this dragon that they probably couldn't even have contested anymore after Kai'Sa is going to fall.
Right, and one of the big things here is that Mordekaiser does not have TP, and he's pushing top. And Shen is going to go back for him, but Shen still has ulti, so even if Mordekaiser does TP, Shen's not going to be losing out on anything. And with the Ignite and the Divine Thunder, maybe Shen can pull something off against the Mordekaiser, but I think they're just going to take a tower in response.
Yeah, the Ignite has proven to be basically useless against this Mordekaiser as he's managed to win lane despite of it. That is going to be 2 towers dropped into this top side. In the 1v1, mostly with very little gank intervention. So very well played on the side of Sword to have their top laner manage to accrue such an advantage in the 1v1 by himself. This is not typical for Team YUBI as they usually win every lane across the board. But I mean, at this point, you gotta wonder they are in a pretty difficult spot to manage to see what they are able to do in this next portion of the game. As let's look at this. As the Divine Thunder is going to come up, we're going to be able to see a little bit of the stats. To me, this is probably one of the worst possible builds you could have gone on Senna. You get the spell played passive, but Senna is not a very good user of it, as you have long cooldowns and you do require auto attacks to keep your uptime. There's no attack speed on it. The 400 HP is a relatively wasted stat. You do get the 20 ability haste, but if you wanted to go tank, there's probably better options, especially since
like Crossfire.
There's consistently better options. So this is more 5-head than it to be expected. This is probably more. If no one else is doing it,
I'll say that.
Yeah, you might want to consider why no one else is doing it, and that could be a solid reason why no one else is doing it.
Nah, Jeff God Gamer just has more knowledge than any of us mortals could really know.
I feel like this could just be the next level BM.
Yeah.
That's what it could be. I'm not gonna even build real items, and I'm gonna win the game.
But yeah, now that Set has Divine Sunderer, even though they're lacking Phase Rush, there's still a huge amount of pressure from Set in terms of engage here. And it's going to be really, really tough for Sword to bring this back, especially against a team that has such good front to back like this.
Yeah, and the mythics have come out. You have a Divine Thunder coming from the Shen. You have the Chem Tank coming out, which is always going to be the Hecarim preferred classic. You have the Manamune completed, and the mythic is going to be coming through shortly. Look at that CS clip that Corki has been on. He is almost at 10 CS per minute. This is something that he does consistently on this champion. People really need to consider that if you're going to fall this far behind, a 60 CS down Victor isn't going to do anything in a team fight against Corki, who manages to accrue such an advantage purely by hitting minions better. There's very little other than that to say on that.
Yeah, and Corki is going to pick up the shield bow here and not paying the Mordekaiser tax, because at this point, I think Corki's so far ahead. If Mordekaiser ults Corki will just kill him.
Yeah, and Shieldbow really is just the best option for the Corki. I guess, in theory, you could go Kraken. The true damage probably doesn't hurt, but the survivability is usually necessary if you're trying to package into the enemy team. Thank God he didn't go Gale Force. I've been seeing that crop up a lot recently. That item is terrible on Corki. Please, no one ever build it. And yeah, at this point, there's really not much to look for to do, as they're just kind of getting snuffed out across the map, and this is going to be a really slow beat on the side of Team Sword if they don't manage to find a team fight, either at this next Drake or when the Baron spawns shortly after.
Yeah, Cam gonna smite away the blue buff, small victories here and there. But, Civil Lock's got Manamune already, so not too much of a problem for him.
Yeah, he is he's most likely a couple stacks away from Mirror Mana. He definitely should be completing it in this next couple of minutes. I would guess probably no longer than 60 to 70 seconds he'll have that Mirror Mana transport coming through. And this is just going to be a really, really slow accruement of advantage from the side of Team YUBI, but effective. This is what they do. They choke teams out when they get an advantage, and they maintain the power that they have, and they very rarely lose it when they're in this type of position.
Right, Civillock hitting 200 CS at 21 minutes, like we've said, doing really well with the farming, keeping up almost 10 CS a minute. Shen going to itemize into, from what I understand, hopefully a Titanic Hydra here. And YUBI don't have any magic
Oh, here
resist,
we
but they
go.
don't
This is
care.
a 4-man onto the Mordekaiser. He's going to have to use his R. He hasn't been able to get it out. That's a lot of damage coming through. He's just killed from 100 to 0 with no opportunity to even use his R and force a 1v1. And when that can happen, you are in a difficult spot. As Ocean Drake is up, this is going to be third Drake, and this is another advantage going right over to YUBI.
And YUBI, we said earlier that they had to itemize into magic resist and they would just be fine with that. But they're not even itemizing into magic resist. They're just itemizing into more damage, and they're just killing them instead.
Yeah, at this point, there is not really anything else you can do. Look, this is going to be the Fear. The Fear is going to land onto the Lulu. Lulu's out of position. She's going to drop. The Wild Growth is going to be utilized. The Shen R is on the Heck Room. Lulu is still alive, taking a lot of damage. The Haymaker is going to come through. That is going to lock up the Lulu. The Kaisa has gone down in the background. Heck Room is going to be running through the tower. Volibear is going to pick him up. That's going to be an overextension on the side of the Shen. He's going to go down too. This is a big fight. Victor's going to get one shot. That's going to be the Senna, killing people from long range with the Corki. That is a team fight win for YUBI, as they got picked up 4 kills for the trade of 2. Honestly, when you're this far ahead, you probably would like to avoid giving up anyone, but the dive buddies have dived way too far, as they managed to be picked up by the Volibear and the Victor, respectively.
And at this point, YUBI are almost free to troll, and they can still pull out this game because they're just so far ahead with how much gold's in their pockets, and specifically so far ahead with the timings on the item spikes.
Yeah, this is a really well played game for the side of YUBI, and this is the type of consistency that we've been expecting from these teams. Team Sword had been on the upswing. They've been playing very, very well their last couple of matches, and they've just been outplayed and outdone by YUBI here, proving that they are still the best team in the league so far, as they've been unchallenged by every other team that's come up against them. Where are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, right now we just got a little state, not too much going on. YUBI just gonna continue to push their lead, and Shen still going to get engaged on, but I don't think that it's really going to be that much of an issue.
Yeah, that is going to be a Mordekaiser. This is his only real advantage. He can still beat this Shen. He is going to get the EQ landed. Here's a Rift Herald that's going to come up. There's going to be a lot of damage onto this tower, but it is going to go down at this moment. Now they're going to get forced out. They cannot defend this tower. Shenna is at the point where she basically outranges it already. And this is going to be a fight. A multi-man Heck Room. That's going to be a 4-man Fear. The Kaisa is out of position.
Oh my god.
That's going to be the Victor just dropping. He has nowhere to go. The Ignite is running onto this Kaisa. Is he going to make it? That's going to be the Lulu getting Stride Breaker and taking a lot of damage. She's 1 HP. The Set is going to get the punch, and Lulu is going to drop. That's going to be the Volibear. He is now tanking it up. And they didn't even take the tower. They've just dived past it and killed 2, and they're probably going to look to get an inhib now. Oh, and on the side, looks like there was a solo kill. It looks like the Mordekaiser just goes underneath the tower onto the Shen. Look at that tower damage stacking up, and Shen kites it out, flashes away, and picks up the Mordekaiser.
In the end, like Sword's only real way how to claw back into this game is going to be through King Gator, and King Gator, if they're not able to get past the brick wall that is Shen under a tower, I'm not too sure if they have any avenues back into this game at this point, especially with Ocean Soul coming up in less than 2 minutes.
Yeah, when you are in this position and you have, that was more of seemed like a desperation play. He was trying to get some type of advantage for his team. His team is dying on the other side of the map, so you basically either do that or just let the Shen far forever and do nothing. So I respect the decision, but they are in a really difficult spot to find any angles into this.
Yeah, and Civilux itemizing into an Essence Reaver here, like still no Mordekaiser attacks, like just does not mind if they get ulted by the Mordekaiser or not.
Yeah, I guess at this point there really isn't going to be much concern about the Mordekaiser R, because pretty much everyone besides the Senna could probably just beat him straight up, except this. Maybe the Shen is going to struggle with it, but he is going to be picking up some more golden items after that kill. so he probably could come back a little bit stronger. But yeah, I don't think most of them are that concerned about getting Mordekaiser art at this point.
I mean, there's the null magic mantle. Could be a Mordekaiser test. Could just be actual magic resist item. I think the only person who really has to worry about getting Mordekaiser ulted right now is Utility Monster, just so that way they can make sure that they can secure the dragons and the barons. But other than that, not really that big of a deal.
And here we go. That's going to be the Hacker Room. The Hacker Room is going to be fighting this Mordekaiser. He is kiting him out forever. And that's going to be a huge engage. Multiple fears coming through. This is going to be a wipe. Look at the damage. Look at all of them dropping. The Corki packages is massive damage as a triple kill is going to come through for the Corki. And a double kill is going to come through for the Hacker Room, as that could just be game. Corki's going to choose to do a little bit of BM and try to get this dragon. But if they wanted to, they could just run it down mid and probably take it. There's already minions on the Nexus Tower. There is no teleport available, so this is just going to be these two at the moment. But this is probably just going to be it, as the towers are taking a lot of damage. They're still a couple seconds away from this Kaisa and the Lulu, but they're not going to be able to do much. Both of these towers are gone, and that is going to be Team YUBI going 7-0 in the early split.
Now, what a massive lead from YUBI, and like really well played from them. They didn't necessarily get like the greatest super early lead, but once one kill went down, like the game just exploded.
Yeah, that is that is basically I want to say a wipe. They across the board is just outplayed, outdone. Corki has had another big game. This mid laner from Team YUBI has been effective in every matchup they've played, and these teams really need to find a way to shut him down in the future, as this is a massive skill discrepancy that we've been seeing.
And like, I find it funny that bot lane, the poking Senna, managed to be within 100 damage with the set. Which means that Set was absolutely going ham, like just going straight in. Because usually you'll see, even if they're farming, you'll see the farming bot laner not match up to the Senna's constant poke. And like they were just so far ahead that game. Like they just did not mind what the enemy team was doing.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where we have had a clean sweep. We had a great day of games. So many teams have played very well. It's really great to see all this improvement, all of this well done gameplay from the side of FWOS. This is the place to come if you want to see players grind with their friends, grind with their teams, improve constantly, and give us the best gameplay that Gold and Platinum can offer. And thank you everybody for watching. That is going to be it from us, the casters, and you're going to go into your interview. And Mr. I'm not sure who's going to be interviewed today, but thank you so much. And that is going to be me signing out. Do you want to give a quick goodbye?
Yeah, that'll be all for me. Thanks for having me again.
All right, that's gonna be it. That's gonna be it for us for the day. Have a good night, guys.
Y'all take care.
Hello, folks. Chris Edgeworth with the final interview of the day. I am joined by Brian Tsang from YUBI. How are you feeling after that win?
We're feeling pretty good. We came into this game prepared to try to do our best clean sweep of the season, so we're quite happy that we're able to accomplish that.
Yeah, remaining undefeated, which we'll talk about in a minute. First, I want to talk to you about is the interesting draft. We've seen a few interesting drafts today. This was its own special flavor. Last game we were denied the fasting Senna with the Cho combo. Here you get to be the beneficiary of Jeff God Gamer doing, as a support main myself, I feel that the ADC is just my turret and I carry them around and they do what I tell them to do, and they're useful only in the ways that I allow them to be useful. So if they want to go over there and die in the jungle, that's fine. Like I can't be over there and do that. So, you really carried this game in a big way. I mean, you're a part of it. Civlock was popping off all over the map. How did it feel having this draft plan and bringing it in?
Well, when we came into this draft, we really wanted to pick Senna Set on our second rotation after we first picked our jungler. When we saw that the opposing team picked Kai'Sa, which is a very poor matchup into Senna, we knew that it would be a pretty favorable lane for us. So we were quite happy going into the matchup. And then what ended up happening is that when we built early priority and Jeff was given a lot of freedom to just kind of trade and get free souls, it meant that, that because they were playing very passively, we could just freeze the lane and deny them off a lot of CS. So it felt pretty good to really execute on our game plan. It's just something we've been practicing because as a player, typically, I think if you look at damage shares overall for teams, I probably do a much larger percentage than any other support in the league in terms of, relation of damage of support to the team. So what we were wanting to practice was trying to give me some more resources to see how I would be able to translate that across the rest of the map.
I really like that you pointed out. You've had a lot of, correct me if I'm wrong, you played Maokai once or twice?
I think I've played Maokai at least 2 or 3 times.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. To that point, you've played it pretty well. I mean, obviously the record shows, but I mean, you yourself as a support player, bringing those more damage-oriented picks that are also contributing, obviously, to the effect of peeling and stuff, but also, like you're saying, bringing a lot of damage. So it's really cool that your team is supportive and giving you the resources to really flex your muscles. It's pretty dope. So let me ask you about your matchup tomorrow against Team Asorth. You are the tyrants of the league right now, undefeated. They're wounded right now. It's something I've interviewed, or I've talked to them over the last couple of seasons, just being involved in the broadcast, and they're a pretty wily bunch. They're very aggressive. How are you feeling about this matchup, given that you are on top? You're the top dog. How do you feel about this matchup tomorrow?
Well, we never try to get in over ourselves. We always try to, remain humble and make sure that we study each opponent. Our draft coach, who's also, our jungler, Utility Monster, spends hours on drafts. So he really makes sure that we have really favorable or comfortable matchups going in, and our comp makes sense. So, I have absolute trust in his ability to draft us these really good comps. All I can tell you is that we do have a very spicy comp plan for tomorrow, so hopefully we'll be able to execute our game plan and continue our win streak.
One thing about Utility Monster is that they've had very unorthodox picks this season, and they talked about it on the broadcast, where it's like, you deny me my comfort, then I'm just gonna play the horse, and it's like, well, I get cute about the utility I bring. It's like my horse goes scary in this line, and then you're scared. So that was it was a really fun game that you guys played today. I really enjoyed hearing about your prep and the effect that Utility Monster giving you guys all that sweet draft tech to bring out that really shows in the dominance that you guys have been able to display so far this season. So good luck throughout the rest of the season. Brian, thanks again for joining us for an interview. Any final words before we step away to the lounge?
I'd like to give up a shout out to my top laner, who once again got solo killed this matchup, which is very unfortunate. I think tomorrow we do have a sub coming in, so we'll see how they perform. But Freelancer 216, you're number one in my heart. I hope. I just want to remind you that the KDA leaderboard is in fact in the other direction.
There you have it, folks. Top diff Just can't get away from it as a support. Unlucky. Folks, thanks for joining us for all these games. Brian, thank you for the interview. Don't go anywhere, though. We still have more to talk about in the lounge. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Thanks for having me.
Right on, man.